Welcome to the Digital Growth Hack Club, where we help you elevate your business and your bottom line. Here is your host, Jenny Jones.
Hey, this is Jenny Jones, Digital Growth Hacks Club. Hey, listen, I got some super exciting news for you. We have one of the co-founders here of SuperCopy. I told you I was going to get him on the show. He chimed in on my video. I said, I'm going to find this guy. So I put all my fillers out. No, I just asked him to come on the show. so anyway, this is one of the co-founders, Mr. Richard Lee. Hey, Richard, tell people what SuperCopy is. Give us about a elevator pitch, man. We're on the elevator. We hop on the elevator and say, hey, what do you do, Richard? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And there's a lot of nuances, but I'm going to try to boil it down as easy as I can. So SuperCopy actually was created because we sucked at marketing. And everyone we talked to requested like absurd fees for like very little, like pretty generic marketing at the time. And we're like, well, isn't marketing super personalized and it should be like scaling to your audience and like it should come from your brand and that should be understood. And every time you ask that type of question, it was always a premium service. It's like premium with the T, like 2 commas. I'm like, okay, we can't afford that. So we very much created a product that allows marketing teams, businesses to like pretty much create a persona of them, whether it be a brand or a person, as well as identify who you're talking to. So big corporate businesses do this on scale with like big workshops and marketing teams and like customer discovery offices. And we want to bring that power to the user. And we're working with businesses, we're working with solopreneurs, we're working with enterprise to make this process easier and easier. So we believe content generation is going to be a part of it, right? Like it's always going to be a piece of how these things are, but we see our magic happening and how communication happens to very specific audiences. And how does that hyper personalization look like in a very non-salesy way?
That is awesome, right? So let me tell you when I first stumbled across SuperCopy and I said, oh my God, right? So, and full disclosure, I have like 50 AI tools, right? It's, I think maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, everybody was making these AI writers, right? And a lot of them would just write, oh, we can write a paragraph for you, or we can help you write a paragraph, right? And then we got into some long forms, and then they're like, hey, copy this entire paragraph, and then we'll create the rest of it for you, that type of stuff, right? So to me, I thought it was okay, but I felt it was missing something, right? Then ChatGPT came out and says, hey, put a whole paragraph together, blah, 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 right? And I was like, yeah, still doing a lot of work, right? I said, I'm still doing a lot of work, and I'm still getting, and I think all of the AI, you still kind of got to put some work into it. But what I realized with anything else, even definitely with ChatGPT, is it's the prompts. It's the prompts. How do you load it? It depends on what you're going to get back, right? And that was one of the things that I saw even with your tool. When I stumbled across it, man, let me see what this tool is about, right? Personas, yeah, right. Boy, was I blown away. So tell me the thought process of just, you already said, hey, we got tired of people asking us exorbitant amounts, so we kind of just created our own. So tell me what was the thought process in just saying, hey, let's put things easier in here for people to get to. Tell me what were you guys just sitting around a table and says, I know what, we can do this. Just tell me about it.
Yeah, definitely. So it speaks to a lot of the co-founder's background. So me and the other co-founder, Will, we actually have a design background. Will has traditionally trained industrial designer. I'm like the guy who picked it up and like went to the product design firm with him later after a career in engineering. So a lot of the things we were building was very like human-centered products. So the goal is like at the end of the day, this product serves a person, right? And in the world of marketing, a lot of marketing was very like, I'm the most important thing in the room. You should listen to me. And that's like how a lot of marketing felt. And I was like, that's not how anyone sells anything. Like the most important person in the room is you. Right. And the brand is trying to communicate with you. And I think one of the craziest statistics we saw were like incredibly low transactions or like incredibly low click-through rates. And people are like
conversion. You talking about conversion? Yeah, conversion rates.
Clicks. Like anything that requires an action. They're like sure. Even opening was like a low number. And like I think we're getting like numbers in the below the 1%. So like
Mhm.
0.01, 0.05, I was like, that's atrocious.
Right. Especially
It
for the
looks
money
like
you're
to me,
putting out.
oh, 100%. So people are like, yeah, just throw the money in, like you'll get like 1%. I was like, that is horrible to return on value.
Horrible. Yeah, you're
And
right.
that was a
No,
big thing.
yeah. So no, that's one of the things. And what I will tell you, and as I'm starting to, I have a undergrad in business marketing, and it's funny. I think I shared this even on another podcast. Is like I remember my first couple of semesters, I was getting bored, right? I'm like, when are we
Mhm.
going to get to the good stuff? When are we going to get to, how Nike came up with just do it or what have you? When are we going to get to that? And they're like, what do you mean? This is marketing. I was like, what do you mean? And they said, dude, 75% of this class is psychology. I was like, what? I would have got into something else. I was like, no, you have to know why people are buying, why they're buying, and you have to understand the emotions behind that. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, nobody said that. I just thought marketing was I see a commercial on TV or what have you. And here's what I will tell you, and I'll be 1000% honest with you, is when I saw a demo of you guys demoing, I think Coca-Cola, we're doing a lot of name dropping here. Nobody's paying us for
Yeah.
anything,
And
right?
we're just like, Coca-Cola doesn't need our ad money.
Yeah, they don't need, yeah. So when I saw the demo, it clicked and it went back to my professor. And the reason why you have to understand why people buy what they buy. And that's why this tool jumped off at me. So tell us a little bit more, because you put some different tools in there. And I think there's some other tools that's coming along. And I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, there's a lot of freaking AI tools out there, but I don't
Mhm.
think none of them is doing what you guys are doing. So tell us, I mean, your whole thought process, you just, hey, we'll add the social posts, we'll add the blog. You guys threw everything in there. So
Yeah.
what was the thought behind that?
So the funny thing is, we didn't used to do everything in there, and we were focusing on like the main channels. And I think we have the data to back it up. Like we have users, we have the white papers. So like we know the usage is like around social media or like long form blogs, and
Yeah,
sometimes and emails. That's the majority of the content created. Uh, Unfortunately, people are asking for us, do you have this really, really nuanced prompts that's like used maybe like less than 1%? And that's that's very much the consumer market, right? Like everyone wants everything. And we
right,
still get requests for like everything. They're like, can you do this
right,
one really, really nuanced thing?
right. That's so
I was like,
funny.
okay.
Everybody wants everything, really? Yeah, yeah, okay.
Everyone wants everything. Like I'm like, are you the other marketer? Because like what you're asking for is a department. And it was really funny. So the crazy part is like we only had like 5 main features, which is like a majority of the market, right? We did a lot of
Sure,
it,
sure.
and what we noticed was like the other like people always compare us to like an existing brand, and they're like, how come they do this? I'm like, dude, it doesn't do it well, and they could never answer that question. So we're like, okay, let's just make 40 more tools, and we created that in like a week. We created like
Re-
40 more tools in a week because we're like, yeah, it's a lot of the basic versions of it are prompt-based engineering. And then
Right.
of course there's a lot more of the technology that you come in with it. And like I think that's the thing. Like there's a lot of smoke and mirror with a lot of these AI products.
That's
They're
what I'm
just chat,
noticing.
they're all ChatGPT plugins, they're all like white label softwares with like a thing in the front. And people
Right.
that kind of ask us like, who designed your website? I'm like, we did. Like we're not outsourcing it. This is all we're all creating this product.
I think it's
Um,
important.
yeah, it's
I
very
think it's
important. Like
important. I think that's important what you said. And I want to, a lot of my viewers here know I'm just a straight raw guy. If your stuff stinks, it stinks, right? And what they'll notice this is, well, Jenny likes everything. No, there's a lot of stuff out there. I don't feature everything, right? I
Mhm.
just because I go to a buffet, I'm not going to get everything from the buffet, right? And so, there's platforms out there that, whether you're doing an LTD or what have you, if they got a million things there, I'm not gonna get a million things from it, right? And your tool stood out to me. For one, I love unicorn tools, right? I love unicorn tools that's gonna add value to my existing business or add value to my clients. I have some serious parameters on why I pick up a tool and why I add it to my tech stack. Your tool solved a need for me like right away. And I think a lot of people don't. Here's what I'll say, and I'll go on record to say this. You can quote me. There's a lot of people that follow my channels that throw my quotes back at me. So you can quote me on this. So this is what you can quote me on. Everybody needs super copy. Quote me on that. And the reason why I know you like that I said that, but
I love that.
Well, no, I'm saying that because if you're a business owner, if you're trying to convert people, or if you're trying to get people for CTAs or if you're trying to get them for call to actions, you're trying to sell them a course, you're trying to get them to purchase something, you need a super copy in your tech stack, even to run through the model and then bounce it back through maybe your marketing department, or even generate ideas from them. Because a lot of marketing departments will continue to do the same old thing. And they're like, oh, well, this worked out. Man, let's try something new, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the other things, and I have another question to ask you. One of the other things that people fail to realize is I'm a finance guy too, but I'm a marketing guy too. So I understand the economics. I understand the dynamics of a market contracting and expanding. When a market is expanding, everybody has money. So everybody can go and buy a super copy. Everybody can go and stack it to the moon. But when money gets tight, right, you have to get even more creative, right? And SuperCopy is in the right place at the right time. So tell me about that demo that you did, right? We're not going to show it here. We're not going to go through that. But the thought in the demo is what? So a person would essentially what? They would say, hey, I have a brand. Do they come up with the brand and the product, or the brand first, and then underneath the brand, there's several different products you can do, right? So so go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's great. That's a very good question. We've actually got asked a lot of these questions, especially around personas, because a lot of it's like marketing 101, or it could be a very advanced marketing course for some of them, right? Like depending on where they come into. And one of the things that we do see is like people do ask for like sub brands all the time. And I'm like, the interesting aspect of sub brands are like, it's really hard to measure and tell how the main brand affects the sub brand. So like Jordan is a sub brand of Nike. Right. Converse is a sub brand of Nike, but like they have very different histories on how that sub brand works. Sure. So it's actually just easier for a lot of people just create a separate brand and like recognize that Nike's a part of it. So what we actually you could just create right now, as of now, you could create unlimited personas and just test and iterate. And one of the cool things that this helps you do is actually helps you redefine your brand over and over again. Because a lot of these people have never asked the question of like, what does my brand really sound like? What would I change it? How can I quickly iterate it? And most people, what they do is they either bring in like an outside consultant that helps them get through it, but you have them for a short period of time, and by the time you like really innovate and change the way you do your business, that brand is no longer relevant. Like if you're talking with the pentagrams of the world, that rebranding's millions and millions of dollars, because that's a Chase logo, right? Right. But we're bringing that type of power to businesses, small businesses, medium-sized business, and we're going to scale that up to enterprise, because our vision is very much long-term. It's not let's create this cute feature and we're done with it. But we're like, cool. Our things like communication is going to matter a lot more in the future with more and more noise that's going to happen. And
especially in the AI space.
But go ahead. AI space. There's so many channels. There's so many pieces of content. It's just not a human thing at this point to like go do that. Like, do you have like 1 billion people with you that you could create content 24/7 that makes sense to everybody? And it's all linear, but like has spice to it. Right. So those are all big problems we're approaching. And like feel free to ask more questions, because I'm like I could go on.
So and I know. So I think you brought up something it caught my attention. You're like, well, as of right now, you can build unlimited personas. I'm like, oh, so that may change in the future, but it's not. Surely it's not going to affect the people that got in on the ground floor with you, though.
Oh, right? No, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just
asking, man. I'm just asking. Yeah. And the only reason why I say that is because, I think what you guys have, and I think the reason why I was attracted to it so much is because I don't have limitations in my creativity. One thing I don't like as a creator, there's another quote out there for my followers. One thing I like as a creator is I don't like to have limitations in my creativity. And so all of you SaaS founders out there, don't limit your creators. Don't limit them to the fact that I have multiple brands, right? I have a couple of core brands, but I have multiple brands that I sell products underneath, right? I don't sell, I do something in finance, but I do something targeted to women. I do something targeted to retirees. I do something targeted to teens and preteens and young adults. I need to be able to send each one of them a different message, still having my core at the top. That's why I fell in love with SuperCopy. Because it doesn't limit me, right? There's some that's just, you'll get to some, let me give you an example. You'll get to some tools and I say, oh, you get one workspace. I'm like, one workspace? What am I do with one workspace? Oh, I don't even have my mic. My mic is way over there. I was like, what? Can people hear me? I had my mic. I got so excited I wanted to start a room. I apologize. I've been talking and my mic's been way over there. So I apologize.
That's all good.
So people you get one workspace. What am I do as a content creator? And maybe I'm a small business or solopreneur out there, and I may have multiple brands that I do. What is one workspace going to do for me? And that's the most frustrating part. And that's what I said I love about yours is you got that brand. Okay, let's run that brand. Oh, you want to sell, you want to sell different types of soup, right? And you have a soup here, and it's for older people. And you have a healthy soup here. And then you have a non-fat soup here. You should have the power to be able to create a message for each one of the soups. That's what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I know you agree with that because that's where you guys create your tool. Where did that come from? Before I start asking you a little bit more about the vision and stuff, where did that come from? Having people have this ability. Yeah, you guys didn't limit people. That's what I love about it.
So I think that was a big pain point we saw in the market. And we're always going to have a version of the unlimited plan, that's accessible, right? And that's our big focus. Like the creators are always going to gravitate to that type of service. Creativity is the thing that we really focus on. The ability to test is something that we focus on, and also deciphering who wants to be a professional in the room and who's a pure hobbyist that wants to just try it on the weekend. there's a difference between these.
And trust me.
And we want to make sure we differentiate those users, of course, and give them what they like and give them what they like. So those are all things that we do consider a lot. The unlimited aspect was a way of how do we think about iteration? How do we think about testing? What are current tech costs that we could handle as of now, right? Those are all things that play into it. If it costs us a fortune per person to do that, it probably wouldn't be a thing at the moment, right? But we want to make sure we could take those costs in. That's not going to kill us, right? As of now, right? Whatever we're doing as of now. But we do have massive plans for persona, how to make it easier, but also how do you add context? How do you add more data? How do you add personal data? How do you train it? Those are all new things, right? That we have to now figure out how to operate, how to scale, how to make sure it works for the human, but also have to work on the technology and design aspect of it.
Wow. Okay, so I love that. I mean, I love you, man. Listen, so all right, so where are you guys based out of?
We're based out of Atlanta, rocking the A right here.
Atlanta.
Atlanta,
okay.
Georgia.
That's why the Coca-Cola brand. Okay, no, I tried it.
We see the building.
It's you can't miss it if you go to Atlanta, right?
Can't miss it.
So you guys are at Atlanta. So how long you guys been around? I mean, is this a hobby you guys rolled out of bed one day and say, hey, let's put this together and put together this fantastic tool? Or?
The funny thing is, we've been around as a startup company. The three of us for about 3.5 years. So we've been doing startups for a good minute, right? We've been around it. We've been around the 2019, 2020 era of startups.
Sure.
And then there's the 2021, 22 era of startups. After we failed a couple startups, one of the biggest problems was we had no idea market. We had no idea how to approach things in the sense of how to get them to buy. This was pretty much a product built out of need. And we were answering our own problems, but we also realized the problems scaled up all the way to enterprise. It was a 0 to 100 team, but everyone followed the same problem perspective. The scale was different, right?
Right.
The timelines are different. Getting a commercial out for Coca-Cola is totally different than me and you filming a commercial today with our phones. Those are two different things. There's a lot of similar pieces in the middle that service them. And what we know is AI is going to play AI was this convenient tool we picked up. So this is way before ChatGPT. This was early days of language models. And the funny thing is we're engineers in the background. So we're not hiring out engineers. Like that's contractor. We have the design and engineering in-house. So everything we're building is purely from the insights we get from our customers, purely from our experiences doing it. So it's not like we're just gonna be like, all right, we're gonna build up random features on the side. Like,
let's throw money here, let's throw money there. So what I can appreciate, and I appreciate your vulnerability, is you said, hey man, we failed a couple of times. And that I think that's where a lot of people see these successful like entrepreneurs and finally get it. They have no idea they failed like 20, 30 times. Right. I mean, you started reading, Mark Cuban, and I'm dropping a whole lot of names today, but I started reading
branding it.
Yeah. We'll drop those in SuperCopy so we can come up with later. So no, I've noticed that. And I remember when I did my first, startup, a lot of people don't notice about me, but I was the first Netflix. Right. And this was back in 89. No one knows this. No one had heard of me. I was stationed in North Carolina, and when we were deployed, when I was overseas, when I was deployed, they gave you all your money and they gave you hazardous play, and it was all non-taxed. Right.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't be putting the Department of Justice. I shouldn't be putting the DOD on blast, but they paid me.
They'd be funding me.
Yeah, they funded me. Yeah, they're basically, when you're in a hazardous zone, you don't get taxed and all that. So anyway, I wasn't in the US basically. And so I got back and I had a whole bunch of money, right? And I was trying to solve a need. And at the time it was Blockbuster Video, and it was like this other place called Video Hut or whatever. And I just felt that when we were living in the barracks, right? Almost like now you get stuff delivered to you and all that. I was like, why can't somebody just deliver, a movie, right? And a pizza, right? And I have my first business, and it brings back up to me because it almost chokes me up a little bit. So when you say, hey man, we failed at a couple, I failed miserably at that. And the reason why is because I was trying to deliver videos. I went and negotiated a spot with the, like the 7-Eleven, the local 7-Elevens in that area. I put these little return crates in there for videos. I had it all mapped out, blew through like 45, 50 grand like that. Because before I went to school, before I learned all that stuff. And I didn't understand the cost of goods sold. I didn't understand how much my insurance cost would be of having other drivers. Yeah. You having other drivers, driving around. Yeah, that's right. Insurance. Those are the things that were eating up the gas. And then I was leasing space in these little convenience stores. I blew through so much, but it taught me so much about business. So when you say that and you say, man, we failed at a couple, but once we figured out what a need was, and you're filling that need, I think you guys are really doing a very, very good job on that. I really wish you guys much success. Where do you see you guys as we kind of wrap this up? Because I can go on for days. I know you can too. Right? So where do you guys see yourself in the next 5 years? Right? Because here's what I will say, right? And you say you heard it here first, right? For you quoted out, you heard it. There's going to be some, what we call in my community, it's going to be some biters. There's going to be some haters. Going to be trying to duplicate kind of what you guys. So where do you guys see yourself in 5 years? Don't give me any secrets, right? You don't want people to know where you're going yet, but just where do you see you guys as a company overall? You don't have to get into specifics of where you're adding or whatever, because somebody probably listen to this and says, oh, we'll do that. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to say, hey, here's where we're going to be in 5 years. You think about it.
And the crazy thing is, like, there's always going to be biters in the AI space, or like biters in like business in general. So
are you borrowing my word, or are you borrowing my word? Is that the word that you guys use too?
Like I grew up in like dance culture, so biting is like a dance thing, right? Like everyone does this when someone copies the move. Like I'm like, it's gonna be a thing.
Why you biting my move, man? Why you biting my move? Nah, so go ahead. Exactly. Yeah. So what in 5 years? Yeah. So yeah.
Exactly. So for us, like our big focus is like marketing is as old as human beings. Like communications is super ancient, right?
Right.
But what we do believe seeing is like we're gonna go into a world of exponential noise. There's just gonna be way too much all the time with like our emails are becoming worthless at a certain point. It's just because there's like a million things going into it.
Oh, for sure. I wake up to 40 emails easy every day.
And you throw away a majority of them. So like the amount of communication is gonna go up. per channel per thing, just because of infinite noise.
Sure.
But the value of good communication is also going to go up, and that's something we see on scale. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we're pretty much platform agnostic, in the sense of like, we're going to follow the way people communicate. We're not going to dictate the way people communicate, but rather follow the way people communicate. And like, I personally believe in 100% personalized content, in the sense of like, if I'm understanding the hardest topic, that topic has to make sense to me. If it's difficult and I can't understand it, that communication failed. And that's something we
Mm.
see, whether in the marketing space, whether it be communication space, whether it be the heart to heart conversation. Like, how do you make communication make sense from both parties, and like
So
really relate that
So
information?
would you agree that because we're going to see another huge wave of AI tools, would you say
Mhm.
that the ones that will survive or the ones that will thrive are the ones that will give people the most flexibility in being authentic?
Yeah,
Is that a
being
fair?
authentic. It's, yeah, absolutely. We want to superpower the authenticity, right? You can't have everyone has an audience. Like, that just doesn't happen, right?
Why do people
You'll
think
be
that though?
surprised. You'll
Why
be
do people think
surprised.
that? I don't know why people think that.
People have literally asked us for the everyone button. I was like, what does that mean?
Are you
Because
serious? You're kidding me. You're
yeah,
pulling my leg, right?
no, no,
They've
this
asked
is
you for
from
the all every. You know why? I
these
know
are
where that comes from. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you
these are
finish
from
your thought.
marketers. These are from marketers. These are from marketers. These are senior marketers. And this is a true story. We're working with a bank, a couple of young names, and it's like a small bank. And their senior marketer said, like, we're talking through like one of their services, like it's like bonds, right? It's bonds and securities, like super, for very clear customer profile, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh my, what's the age range? And they're like, oh, 18 to 65. I was like, what kind of 18-year-olds buying bonds? Like,
Right.
and then
Right.
they're like, go, and they like they click on city, and they also click on suburb, and they click on like rural. I'm like, that means nothing. And they keep
means
doing that for
means
every
jack. I
category.
mean, it means it's so you're giving me geographic. You're telling me people way over in you know, oh, way over here are buying bonds. The same people. California, we never mind. I don't even want to get into that. But you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And that's so here's what I will tell you, and I think you brought it up. And we'll talk about threads here in a minute. Don't let me forget that.
Mhm.
But what I think, and here's what I'll say, another quote, right? Jenny, I'm gonna quote Jenny. Listen, I think, and this is what I said, I may have said this somewhere else before, but I think social media has made marketers lazy.
Mm.
And why I say that is because these free platforms, your Facebooks or your, it's not free. They're gathering your demo and your psycho, right? Your
Mhm.
psychographics and demographics, and they're building their own models, and then they're reselling you, quote unquote, not the actual model, but they're selling you access to the models to be able to do that,
Mhm.
when really actually you can kind of gather it on your own if you know who your target, if you can pick, and I tell people this all the time, if you can pick your target client up and you see them at a police lineup and they say, hey, one of those people are your clients, if you can identify them, then
Yeah,
that's where you multiply. That's where a
exactly.
super copies is. I already got this person. Yep, they wear sweaters on Tuesdays, and they wear shorts on Wednesdays, and they're between this age and this age, not between 18 and 65. Nope, they're a sweet spot there. And people ask me for my finance for when I'm teaching kids. I was like, oh, it's women, it's mothers, right, between this age and
Mhm.
this age. And I tested your model in SuperCopy. I
Really?
tested it, and I did, and it gave me my window back to me. I was like, oh my God. I went back and says, I need to go
Wow.
buy a couple more. I'm not just telling you that. I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. I'm being honest with you, because when I test, I said it told me exactly what I've been after, and it just nailed it. And then it spoke their language and said it. I was like, oh man, I'm done with this. This is crazy, right? And that's why I put out a video so fast. And I was like, listen, you got to take a look at this tool, because
When I saw that video, I was like, this is so fast.
yeah, I did. You know why? Because I had already had my model using another software manually, and I just loaded into yours. Yours was like, yep, this is what you need right here. I was like, oh my God. And that's the one button. If I already know what I want out of it, and I just punch in a couple of things, here's what I want to do. It just, and I was just like, I'm blown away. So I am so thankful that you even had the time to talk to us, So when you talk about these different threads or these different channels and stuff, what are you guys going to do with threads? I don't even know if the API has been released yet or not, or is that something that you guys are just going to try to be on those threads as well? I mean, try to be on those mediums as well. Anything coming out or?
So yeah, we're definitely exploring it, right? So it's really interesting because we're very customer listeners, we're very market listeners. So yeah, we're definitely gonna keep an eye on Thread. We're gonna go into it. The funny thing is we don't really have any integrations with these big platforms yet. Like the things you're seeing for Instagram or LinkedIn, there's no real direct connection.
That's true. That's true. So I think you guys, you at least know how many characters can go in each one, right?
Yeah, but we know what the overall limitations are, and that's like looking at a red truck and being like, I don't have the owner's manual, but like I know the truck's red. Like that's
not hard to do. So you don't really have to do integration for it.
Exactly.
That's
so
funny.
we try to limit it. We think a lot about like what's the ultimate version of it. What do we go for it? So here's a fun fact of where a lot of inspiration comes from. It's like I personally look at YouTube creators, like the best YouTube creators in the market.
Yes,
they know things per second on their video. They know exactly at what point people will gravitate to. They know what story is going to work. And the funny thing is, and like this is not a secret. It's like a very open public thing that feels like a secret. Is like a lot of the best creators start with the thumbnail and title first, and then if they can't make the thumbnail and title first work, they're not going to make the video. Those are the smartest creators I've seen because they're like, I can make a story from this. If I can't make a story from this, they're like, this story is gonna die on it. And there's also outliers on it. They're like, there's like the Van Nystedts.
You know why I'm laughing?
Ultimate storytellers.
I'm laughing because that's so true. As a YouTuber, and what I've found in creating my channel and growing my channel, I found that to be so true. And then looking at one thing that I do as a creator, right? I'm 100% creator. My wife is like, I thought you were an accountant and you do stocks and bonds. I said, I do. I have a right brain and left brain that's arguing all the time because I have a creative side. So how do you get a degree in marketing, but then have a degree in accounting? I was like, I don't know. I just love creating, right? And one of the things I found is if you're a creator, you should always be looking at other creators. Always, because you learn from them. I subscribe to other creators because I say, oh, he put an interesting twist on that. I think I like that. I think I'll try it. I won't bite him and do it exactly right, or bite word, but I will borrow the concepts. Oh, I never thought about doing that. And that is crazy. This makes it so much easier. Is there anything else you want to? I feel like I'm missing something. Because I'm just so giddy.
Questions. I'm here.
No, I feel like I'm missing something, right? So here's what I'll ask you, right? And in your research, right? I'll ask you this. Other people's like, why don't you ask him this? So I'm just asking. Out of all the social platforms, right? He's like, which one do you think that SuperCopy? Let me see. Which one do you think that SuperCopy kind of just nails, or have you figured that out just from customer feedback? That's a good question. Do you know that?
That's a good question.
Do you really know that?
Yeah, I think the thing that we're trying to figure out to nail the most, that's like a really important aspect for us.
Sure.
Is like email. Like email is like super important, super nuanced.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the world of email is ancient, but also still growing. It's one of those weird mixes. Like I would say like our best output is like social media, like because it's digestible, or the information is very digestible. Email has a lot of nuances because there's a history before and after in email in a conversation. Because like if your email's cold, I'm like, a cold email looks a certain way. Like it's either gonna look like spam, or you look like you knew them forever, and like you have to convince them of that.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like email, like what we view is not just one piece of content. Like the content lives in the ecosystem with a million other touch points.
Right.
So I'm like, we want to help you make communication easy. Right. That's the entire point of it. So email just happens to be one of the most personal forms of communication.
Sure.
Like text is even more personal, right? That's
But even the FCC is cracking down on text because people know that's a big one there.
Exactly. So it's like no filter.
So are you saying that email it converts better, or let me get this. Email removes a lot of the white noise that exists on social media. And email can get as personal and can really probably speak to some pain points a lot faster. Because if I put pain points out on social, and it's people like, oh, that ain't really for me. But if you know the pain points and you speak to them in email, is that what you're saying?
It's like the idea of a one-to-one and a one-to-many. So like a lot of social media stuff is a one-to-many.
Sure.
Like it's meant for one point of contact for many people to view, and they get everyone has their own lens.
You get it, you don't. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you're doing email, that email can be personalized to one person. And that communication return could be $0, right? Or billions of dollars if it's the right person. So email, like the email platforms themselves, I believe they're going to go through a good big change and like reduce even more spam. Like their platforms are only available if the spam gets reduced. Like it has to be a usable product. Or you're just me going down 40 emails that's like worthless and be like, I have to just burn these spams out every day. Right. To the point, like even important emails are getting put in the spam because it's like that's your first time you got an email, which is like really difficult.
I even lost the communication between you and I. was like, wait, where is he at? He said he sent me an email, but I got so much crap in there. It's like, how do I find it? So I think this tool, I haven't tried your email piece, right? I'm not a big emailer. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not a big emailer though.
No, like DM, like it's gonna be more and more personal communication.
Sure.
That's gonna need nudging more and more, right? That's gonna be like, hey man, like if you get a text from your like your favorite person, you're responding to the text. But if you get like a DM for someone that's like it's within your circle, right? Like if you're an Instagram person and you're following, you follow them, like you pass the filter.
And
communication is going to get more and more filtered just because the spam is just going to go at an absurd rate to a point. And like we're already seeing that like platforms are getting really good at it because they realize their products are only valuable if it's not flooded with crap. Right. Exactly. So those are a lot of things that we look at for inspiration. Communication is still like human to human, right, in a lot of ways.
Sure.
And that's something we think a lot about. Like, what does a person want to hear? Or what does a person want to communicate with? And what does the other person respond with? Because like it has to be genuine, because that's going to be the more rarefied resource out there. And that's where persona lives. Like it's not meant to replace your entire creation process. It's meant to help you get to your place faster and then get to the important meaty part quicker. And that's the entire point of personalization. It's not meant to be like, because we've gotten from people like if you're hyper personalizing, but you're not spending time like making sure those nuances work, it sounds even more like spam.
That's interesting. I'm gonna go and mess around with your email a little bit more. I'm into this big blog thing now because as we kind of wrap up, I mean, because like I say, we can talk for days. And I was sharing, I created this course the other end of last month, and I basically told people in the course, says, listen, everybody wanted to do podcasting and they flooded the market. Now you can't even get in, or you can't make a dime in podcasting because it's too flooded, right? And I was telling people, I said, that's the hardest medium to try to see a return on, right? And so, but if you have these other tools that can kind of help you take some of your podcast material already, then chop it down and then put it back and personalize it back out and recycle it, still good stuff, but you recycle it and then put it back out into blogs and different ways to do some inbound traffic. Then you can kind of bring. So anyway, I kind of went through that in the course, and I kind of told people is, hey, listen. And so what I noticed, what I like, you guys got this newsletter thing too. Tell me about that. That's new, and we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to kind of wrap it up. I really wanted. I wanted to get to the campaign brainstorm.
For me, like I'm loving this conversation. Is going really long, by the way, just because I'm like it's the mark of approval for you. I'm like, yes, I'm like I made it this far.
Well, no, I appreciate you even taking the time. And listen, people know me, man. I am a SaaS freak, so I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I want to know about your newsletter, the new template, and then I want to know a little bit more about the campaign brainstorm, and then we're going to wrap it up. How about that? Because we can talk all day. Perfect, we might need to circle back and talk offline too. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm excited for that too. Like I'm an open book.
That's cool. So tell us about the newsletter template.
So for the newsletter template, that came out of another pain point we had because we wanted to write newsletters like frequently so that our users get it. But by the time you're writing the newsletter, I'm like structuring new information that's always changing.
Sure.
Startups are a roller coaster. There's so much new things happening. And we found out a lot of other people have the same problem. They're like, I want to write a newsletter, but what they really want to do is like write down 4 pieces on a memo and then make that into the thing that makes sense to the audience. They're like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Now make it into a format that people read, right? And that's kind of what was the thought process. That's how I thought. I was like, this happened, this happened, this happened. Now make this like readable. And that was the thing. Like you still need to feed it. You still need to double check. You still need to maybe make some edits to make sure like all the facts are right. But that was the thing. Like, how do I make information go to the audience in an acceptable manner, but also for me, write newsletters that like communicate, because a lot of people are just like waiting for that newsletter to happen. And if that newsletter is good, if it resonates with the audience, perfect. And this is a side tangent. So we know this is like a future thing that we're considering is like, we know a lot of content is like one-to-many. It's like the same content sent to like 40,000 emails. It's the same email.
Sure.
One thing we're really thinking about is like, what if we can make one content for one content? So like, say that you have 40,000 people on the email list, and that 40,000 gets slightly customized to make more sense to that 40,000.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That I like.
Yeah.
If you talk about that, I think you talking about the email and the customized, you guys are onto something. Don't give us no trade secrets, man. I just hey, listen, you guys, if you can get the link in the link below, you need to get them while you can, right? I don't know how long they're gonna be there, but
I don't know.
Right now,
I don't know either, man.
So yeah, you ready? Use my link below because I'm bringing you some good stuff here, right? Of course, I'll make enough to maybe get a cup of coffee, maybe, right? That's all I'm gonna make. But I appreciate people supporting the channel. So let's talk about, as we wrap up, man, I sat down and said, man, this is only gonna be 20 minutes, but oh my God. So anyway, let's talk about the campaign brainstorm and let's go out on that. What's the ideal of tell everybody what a campaign brainstorm is for SuperCopy.ai.
Cool. It's a two-parter. I think you're gonna really like this. So the campaign brainstorm came out of like, how can you get a couple pieces of an idea you have, whether your brand or your audience, and like it's like some input. And because like I have a lemonade stand, I sell lemonades to people. I kind of know my audience. I want to theme it like pink lemonade, and that's my theme.
Right.
There's a million ideas out there that's never been implemented, and there's also so many variations that have never even been considered. That's the crazy thing. Like you're a numbers guy too, right?
Sure.
It's like permutations, like the number times the number times it keeps going up.
Sure.
And that's kind of how ideas are. So like your ideas never really step on another person's toes, because the way you implement them, execution alone, there's another world. But what we believe is like we could create ideas that worked previously in this world and give you either inspiration or even like a guide,
a twist on
what you want to do. Exactly. Because like we believe like we could give you all the information. Like it's up to you to still execute. As of now that we're speaking about it, and we have a future update that's coming up in the future called campaigns.
Hey, you need to get it so you can be a part of that future update. I'm telling you guys.
Exactly.
Get the link below. But go ahead and finish, man. Go ahead and finish the campaign brainstorm. Yeah. So.
So there's a product called Campaign that we're launching inside the product.
Oh, you're launching another product inside this product? Is that what you said? Or
it's a feature, but it's a large feature. So one thing that we're launching that's very soon, so I could talk about this publicly, is the fact that the campaign brainstorm is one piece of it, but we believe communication is very holistic, right? Like you need a blog, you need Instagram posts, you need this, you need email.
Yeah.
It lives in a timeline, and we say, okay, why don't we just give you all the pieces that you could go further at it?
Ooh. So am I getting that?
By the way, all personalized.
Am I getting that, or is this something? Because the guys are building it in house, and I tell people, say, hey man, founders, if they can build it in house, they're going to at least try to hook up their people that are already with. But if they got to go out and get another component, integrate and all that, that's time. Time is money, right? But are you saying we're going to get this?
Yeah.
You didn't sound very confident. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just want to make sure it's going to be included.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like everyone that rolled with us early, I'm like, yeah, you get the benefit access to it. Yeah, so
Nice.
that's all.
So
That's
as
all
of
that
right
was.
now, if you're in, you guys better get in. I'm telling you, Super Copy is going someplace. And here's the reason why. And as I close this out, I have kind of seen a lot of tools already. And a lot of them are like, oh, we're making rolls, right? We're making rolls. We put them in the oven. Some people set it at 350. Some people set it at 400, right? But when I take them out, they're still rolls, right? They don't taste any different. Some people put a little glaze over it, right? This is a little butter glaze, a little honey. They're still rolls. Not Super Copy. Super Copy is doing something different. You're like, whoa, you got meat in your rolls? Wait a minute, you split it open. I'm telling you. So sorry I get so hyped, man. I do because I don't get this giddy about a tool. Every now and then I get really, really excited about a tool. This is one of those tools. And I owe you guys, I hope you guys have a lot of success, right? And I tell people this, those of you who are out there, invest in your founders, right? Invest. If you're going to pick up their tools, pick up their tools. If they come out with slight variations and that they can't afford to pass the cost on to the end users, that's okay, as long as they're not saying, hey, now this is $400 a month. It's like, wait, what? If they come out and say, hey, this is $5, $10, something very minimal, you want to support them because you got in on the early floor, you got in on the ground floor. But as they grow up, you've already made your investment back because you utilize their tool with unlimited personas already. But I challenge the founders too. Don't roll out of bed the next day and be like, hey, we're going to charge $400 for this new feature. It's like, wait, what? We've been rolling with you since day one, right? So I'm putting that out there for you because that's where you can lose a lot of people. But I always tell people, and I tell them here on my channel, support your founders. Don't, because we want you guys to do well, especially with a tool like this. So listen, this has been fun, man. This has really been fun. And I appreciate you taking the opportunity out of your busy day. I talked to you earlier. It's like, hey, man, you have no idea where I'm at right now. We just got off the phone. We got investors over here. We got people all over here. We're doing a lot of different things. But I appreciate the time. You got anything else for the people? Anything you want to leave with the people that you can put into your tool and then leave it for us and tell us? No, I'm just kidding. But you have anything you want to leave us with? We close.
Yeah. I guess it's a two-parter. One is like, yeah, definitely. I there's a little bit of lag, so make sure to adjust for
a little
it.
lag, yeah.
Is yeah, no worries. But yeah, I think I really appreciate support. Like that's a big thing. Like we really build for people at the end of the day. So like we're listeners. People are asking us to do crazy things, but also realistic things, right? Like there's crazy stuff and there's also realistic stuff. So we want to make sure like we can reach it realistically. It makes sense to the business. So we're always listening. We're gonna try building all the things that you guys have had. So we want to make sure that happens. I guess the number two part is like, be excited. Like we're really excited for the future of what communication looks like. Whether it be market to make it a little easier for you. So like there's a lot of new things that's coming up, and we're excited to make that process a little more human.
All right. Yeah, we got caught in a little lag here. I don't know. I think because we've been on forever, but I'll try to. So listen, hey, this has been fun. This has been great. My, digital growth hacks, my digital hackers out there, they appreciate the time. They appreciate the time you stopping by the studios today to kind of give us the upside on SuperCopy. Hey, you guys need to pick it up. The link is below, right? I'm on this tool. I'm telling you. You guys know I get on some tools and I'm on them really hard. This is one of those tools. So I want you guys to support them, pick them up if you can. They're going to be doing some things. And I appreciate them stopping by. Listen, hey, this has been Jenny Jones, Digital Growth Hacks Club. The show was awesome today. Had an opportunity to sit down with SuperCopy.ai, Mr. Richard Lee, one of the co-founders here. This has been a fun time. I think I'm going to add a lot of chapters in this one. Hopefully people will look at this one all the way through. All right. So you're good to go, Rich? You good down there in Atlanta?
Yeah, they're having a good time. We got a bunch of other stuff to do today. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. Like this is great. I love your waterfall in the background, by the way.
Hey, man.
So
another digital tool, man. Another digital tool.
Oh, yeah. This is supposed to make our lives easier, right? Let's go.
Hey, it's been fun. Hey, you guys take care
Thank
out there until next time. Goodbye for now.
On the Digital Growth Hack Club, where we help you elevate your business and your bottom line. Please do not forget to subscribe and share. And until next time, goodbye for now.